All right, good morning. Is it morning? Is it afternoon? I've been in the shop for a while. I don't know anymore. But today we're gonna make the Benchcrafted Moxon Vise. So I've printed out my plans, which is, I don't know, a little silly because they come as a digital download, which is awesome to save paper, but I don't like to have a computer or a device out here in the shop other than my camera. So I went through my lumber storage and came up with this really beautiful Duke. This is an African hardwood. It's really heavy, really dense, really like oily, and it is gorgeous. When you cut it, when it's fresh, it's like this really gorgeous carrot orange red color, and over time with an oil finish, it'll darken to this really lustery, rich red brown. But the kicker is that it's an African hardwood. It's exotic. And the new mindset behind my shop is I don't really want to use that. I don't want to be importing stuff from foreign countries when we have perfectly good alternatives that are just as pretty, just as durable, just as hard here in native hardwoods. One, they're more affordable, they're most likely more sustainably sourced, and I don't want to contribute to deforesting endangered environments. So I bought these a while ago before I really came into that mindset, and I've been sitting on them and not knowing what to do with them, so this is going to be what they turn into. There's going to be, if you've seen the plans before, you know that the plans call for the vise to be about 5.5 inches tall. The widest board here is 5.5 inches, and the moving face is a little bit wider than the base. So we're going to tweak the dimensions a little bit, and then we'll move on. The other thing is everything's supposed to be 1.25 inches thick. These boards are like 7/8, just under, technically 4/4. So we're going to cut them to rough length and laminate, and then we'll get to building. So that being said, let's get to it. Alright, so everything's milled to rough dimensions. Now it's glue up to laminate these two together so that I have a just over, well, it's not going to be an almost 2 inches thick board, and then I'll be able to surface down to 1 inch and 3/4. So I'm going to get the rest of my clamps and we'll glue up. Okay, so the panels have been in glue up for a day. I wanted to get this all done yesterday, but it turns out it's only 49 degrees in the shop. And the label on the glue bottle says don't use below 45 degrees. We're in this weird, close to that time period, so it didn't set up very well. Last night I moved it into a different part of the garage that's a little warmer, and hopefully it's set up overnight. But now, moment of truth, we're going to find out. Alright, well, there's one. It hasn't opened up or delaminated or done anything crazy here. that appears to have gone all right as well. So now I've got a lot of glue to clean up, and I also have to glue up. While I was waiting, I milled up some maple for the tail stabilizer. We'll get that glued up and set in my dad's shop, and then we'll start cleaning the jaws up and start milling the hardware for those. All right, so we're cleaned up. We're gonna start in on joinery. The directions start on the back fixed jaw first. So deciding which one is my front for the jaw that'll face the clamp. I think I'm gonna use this face. So this will be top. In fact, where's my pencil? I don't have it. I'm simply gonna write, this is the top, bottom, and that is the inside jaw. Our holes on the 36-inch jaw are located 5.5 inches in from the edges. 1 9, no, that's not right. 2 3/4 inches from the top. However, that's in a 5.5 inch piece of wood. This is not 5.5 inches. Okay, so a little bit of math. We're actually like 4 7/8, where we're supposed, the plan's called to be 5.5 inches. That's where I said in the beginning that we'd be tweaking this a little bit. So 4 7/8, half of that is 2 and, it's like 2 1/4. No, 2 3/4 will be fine. Ish. We're gonna go with 2 1/2. So we're gonna come over here and do the same thing. 5.5 inches in, 2.5 inches up. Okay, now, so we've located that spot. We can drill a 3/4 of an inch hole straight through for the screw. And so what we're gonna do, even the plans call to cut a square mortise in for the nut, and the nut's hexagonal, so it will hold on 4 sides. But it looks a lot nicer if you lay it out, center the nut, and then recess, cut a hexagonal mortise and to recess down into it. So that's what we're gonna do. It takes a little more work, but it looks a lot sexier. This one doesn't seem. 2 1/2, 5.5. Well, gotta be careful. So here's where the grain of this wood, you'll see it if you ever work with it, how porous it is, how open some of these pores are. I mistook my knife line for a pore. And actually, I'm gonna bring you over and give you a close-up of that, see if we can. Try not to stand in the light. That should. You can see where that one piece of grain crosses where I X'd it out, and then just below it you can see the actual circle where I... Probably way out of focus. I have no idea what I'm looking at right now, but we're going to go to the drill press and drill these holes out. Alright, so you see me, I've gotten the screws mortised in here into the back jaw. So those are essentially installed. This is still the top, I've got it backwards. You just watch me drill the holes through the front. And if you're following along, if you've built this already, or you know, these holes are supposed to be oblong. You can't see the screws. So if I had a Forstner bit, in the drill press, you'd be able to just offset and go through again. But the spade bits really don't like to do that. They'll flex and try to follow the existing hole. So what I'm going to do instead is drill out, just like I did for these recesses, the mortises for the nuts, and drill out the waste with a brad point bit, and then chisel them through or clean them up. Might use a rasp or a file as well. So let's get to that. The trick here is that you want to keep your slot 3/4 of an inch. You don't want any vertical movement. You can have them be longer lengthwise, as that'll just kind of help the cam action, but you don't want it to be able to twist. So that's kind of the kicker. I'll lay out the other side and probably work from the other side back. Alright, so apparently my battery died while I was in the middle of chopping out those mortises. As you can see, I've gotten all the way through and put it all together. The only thing that I haven't done, because I'm still waiting on the glue up, is to glue the stabilizer onto the back here. And I measured, I've got these threaded out. They're not all the way threaded out, but about my maximum capacity on this right now, because these are a little bit thicker than the plans called for, is we're just over 2 inches. So I can fit about a 2-inch or a 1 7/8 inch workpiece in here. The next thing that needs to happen is a bevel, like a 45-degree bevel along this front edge. Doesn't need to happen, but what that allows you to do is to keep your workpiece low so it's well supported, and let you cut the 45-degree angle in when you're doing half-blind dovetails. So I'll put that bevel on, and then I found a rat tail rasp here. So I'm actually going to take this front jaw out and elongate those holes, because I chopped them through with a chisel, and so only the one edge where I drilled through with the spade bit is circular. So I'm going to kind of clean that up with the rat tail. Other than that, I'll let you watch along, but this is essentially done. If you have any questions about how I assembled this, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, subscribe. It really helps support the channel. And if you want to follow along for any of these projects coming up. Till next time.